Hey, Adam, pleasure to have you on here today on the Simplifying Entrepreneurship podcast. And just had a little chat about a few things and excited about our conversation today. And, tell everybody a little bit about you and about Grow Your Show, Adam, before we get going here.
Yeah, I appreciate it, and I'm excited to be on this
Yeah.
podcast. It's funny, my mom gave me this book a long time ago, and it's just talking about simplifying, which is the worst thing that I can do. So I just want to learn from you. I need to be listening to more of your episodes. You put out a good podcast. A little bit about me: originally from Utah, moved to Colorado a little while ago. Love the outdoors. Have a couple of kids. Have a Jeep. Love mountain biking. Have a dog. That's kind of my focus, my love, my passion. And a little while ago, as a real estate investor, I started a podcast. This was like 4 or 5 years ago. I started this show about real estate investing, and it ended up blowing up. And I helped a few other people launch podcasts because they're like, "What did you do?" And I showed them what I did, and they got even bigger than me, like because they knew how to launch, and I only learned it as I went. So it's funny, maybe just about 2.5 years ago, I pivoted. I still have real estate investments, and I think that's important. However, I decided to go full bore helping other podcasters. So we have a company called Grow Your Show, and it stemmed from helping a lot of people for free, and got tired of not making money doing it.
Well, I get that for sure. And, Adam, I'll just ask you, is the real estate show still going as well? I'm unfamiliar with that one.
I sold the first real estate
Yeah.
show. It was called Creative Real Estate Podcast. If you type in Adam Adams on any podcast platform, there's 3 shows that come up. That's one of them, even though I don't even own that anymore. Someone bought it from me. The next one's called Apartment Investing Show. It comes up because we put out a trailer episode. I have over 100 episodes ready to go, but I decided to go full bore in
Yeah.
this. So we launched a podcast called The Podcast on Podcasting. Literally,
Yeah.
that's what it's called. And at any rate, it has over 100 episodes now. And so that's we wanted to do both at the same time, but here's the thing: chase 2 rabbits. What's going to
Yeah.
happen? You catch
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah.
So
No,
we went
and
all in
that's
on
part of
this.
simplifying, right? You got to simplify it down to what you're going to do best so that you can actually take that out and deliver your promise in a proper way.
I totally
Yeah,
agree.
no, I love that. I love that. And before we hopped on, we were talking a little bit about questions and all around this idea of, as podcasters, we're on a podcast here, and I'm a relatively new podcaster. I've been at it for I think 25 episodes as we're recording this have launched, and another 15 or 20 sort of in the bag, let's call it. But from that perspective, whenever we're having conversations with people as a podcaster or as an entrepreneur or as a leader, because so many of our listeners are leaders of their businesses and maybe not podcasters, but from that perspective, the ability to ask a proper question is so crucial, because the information that can be garnered from that question could literally change your business or your life. And from that perspective, I love when we were chatting a little bit about the idea of questions, and give me your take on proper questioning and how to arrange that and what it means.
Yeah, well, first off, I think when we talk about questions, I think in the pre-interview we really hit it on the head. Anything that you want to accomplish is accomplished best by asking good
Yeah.
questions. Like, just random example, last night, literally just last night, with my son, my youngest son, he did something wrong to his brother, and a lot of people would either go straight to timeout or they would scold somebody. And I'm not saying I'm the best at ever, but I did use questions this just last night by trying to identify and understand, where is the behavior coming from, son? Like, is it because you just think it's funny, and you want to entertain yourself, and so that's why you were teasing your brother? He's like, no. Okay, well, is it because you aren't getting enough attention and you just really need some love? Because I can give that to you. Because that's not what it is. And so it took a little while, but we got to the bottom of it. And what's great about that is when we got to the end of the bottom of it, he understands himself more, and he's probably not going to do it anymore. It reminds me of like another thing. It's called, have you ever done the 6 layers or 5 levels of why? Have you heard
Yes, I
that before
have.
or
Yeah,
done that?
yeah.
It's the exact same thing. It's the same effing question,
Yep.
just asked lots of different times, but it helps us to say, like, why do I want to invest in real estate? Why do I want to start a podcast? What's the outcome? And then you just keep asking yourself, well, why do I want that to happen? And then you ask again, well, why is that important? Or and again, why? And as we ask enough questions, it helps us to be able to, like, by the way, when I did the 6 levels of why, I started bawling. I started bawling. It got so
Yeah, it
deep.
gets deep.
And after bawling, it affected me better. And like the last example that I'll use just about questions, if you don't
Yeah,
mind, is just when, like, I do onboarding calls with potential clients for like
right.
podcasting. And today I had a couple of them, and it's like you can't just have somebody come onto your podcast and then you simply just say, or come on your discovery call, and then you simply just say, uh, hey, this is the program for you. This is how we're going to, you don't know anything about that person yet. So I spend a lot of time just like in those discovery calls trying to identify and understand somebody and what their goal is and the why behind the why and the purpose of them starting a podcast, etc. Because I don't want to give the wrong advice. I
Yes.
don't want to not understand. So with you 100%, asking questions can solve your children, your business, and even make a better podcast if you are hosting one.
Yeah, I mean, I think from that sort of aspect, I was on a discovery call today too, and those that questioning, that aligning when we go through for people that want to do business with me and my coaching side of things, and from that side of things, I set up this framework around it, and we talk a lot about it in the podcast about it's the problem, your solution, what's their problem, what's your solution, and what does life look like afterwards, right? So, and
Yes. Love
those
it.
are the three sort of principal components of every question. So, finding out what their problem is, aligning it with your solution, assuming that you have the solution, and if you don't have the solution, at least letting them know that you don't have the solution, and maybe if you know somebody that does, offering that up, because somewhere down the road maybe they'll come back and do some business with you down the road. But then what does life look after for them afterwards? And that's, everybody's buying their future, right?
What? Say that again. Say that again.
Er,
Everyone's buying their future. This is like a profound statement, and I want you to say it again.
Yeah.
I need to understand it and dissect that for a
Yeah.
second.
So everybody buys their future. That's what they buy. So it doesn't matter whether we own some shoe stores. It doesn't matter whether you're buying a pair of shoes, you're buying the future of comfort and fashion for some future time. But basically,
Yeah.
you're always, you're all whenever you're ready to part with your cash, you're always buying a better future. And from
We need to change this whole episode title from asking better questions to everyone's buying their
yeah,
future. This is the most profound part. I love
but
it.
how do you align your the ability of your service aligning with what their problem is to give them the better future? Because that's really when they're going to actually rid their dollars from their wallet.
Yeah, it's very, very
And the
true.
questioning
I
is
think
how
like,
you find that out, right? You got to find out what
yeah,
the real and true problem is.
100%. It's like when I went, I mentioned this, I started to mention this to you earlier. Like when I go to the
Yeah,
doctor, I don't want the doctor to just say, hi, thanks for coming into the doctor. Here's 2 Tylenols. Thank you for coming in. I'm like, what the
yeah,
F? You don't know what's going on. You haven't, you're just prescribing some random
yeah,
solution. You don't even, it's an emotional thing today. I don't have a headache. I got
yeah,
depression. I don't have a headache. I've got my hand fell off.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Aspirin's not going to
Yeah.
help.
Yeah, it's a great analogy, and I think that's the power of questioning. So whether we're questioning here on the podcast to open up conversation, whether you're questioning for hiring somebody to be part of your team, or employing an outsourced partner like you to be a podcast producer and bring you on and that sort of thing. All of those different things, asking the right questions helps you live a better life, right?
I love it.
Cool.
Yeah. And support people
Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
Support your kids, support your clients, everything.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, Adam, we're at the top of 10 minutes here. So time goes by quickly on the Simplifying Entrepreneurship podcast. I've really enjoyed our conversation here around questioning. And I think, give somebody, everybody who's listening, give them a sort of parting words of wisdom around the benefits of questioning and what that can mean for them.
Yeah. Thanks for putting me on the spot,
Yeah.
Pete. The benefits of questioning. I truly believe that if you're asking the right questions, you're going to get to know people a lot better. Like I was at here's what
Yeah, I
I'll
love
say.
it.
I was at a conference, and during this conference, there was one of the people that I had a conversation with. All I did was ask them about themselves and was interested in things, and they had a fascinating life. All I did was ask questions. And I don't even think I said a single thing about myself, but that person told lots of other people how awesome I am. And I'm like, what? You don't know anything about me. How would you say that? And it all came down to just asking questions, getting to know people. So I will say, like, whether you're on a podcast where it's with your kids, have genuine curiosity when asking those questions. And I think that's really what's going to allow us to bring the answer to light. If you're doing it like, why'd you do that? Like antagonistic or angry or abrupt or short tempered, it's going to be offensive. But if you're asking questions with a genuine interest and love, I think that's where the whole world is solved.
Yeah. And I like to use, when you were saying that, I was just thinking of another sort of phrase. You need to be interested and interesting, right? Not just interesting. You need to be interested. And that's the power of what just happened to you with that particular person, is that you were interested in them, right? Your ears were open. And, in order to question, it's one thing to question, but you actually have to listen to.
Yeah. 2 ears, 1 mouth.
Man. I love it.
2 ears, 1
Love
mouth.
it. Well, thanks so much for spending some time with me, Adam. It's been a pleasure speaking with you today. And I will include in the show notes where to get a hold of you. But why don't you tell everybody, if they want to get a hold of you right now, how to get a hold of you and how they can contact you?
Absolutely. Well, the main reason to contact us is if you want to start a podcast or grow a podcast. So if that's you, growyourshow.com, and there's a schedule link on there. You can just have a chat and a discovery call with us.
Yeah, that's great. And thanks so much for spending some time with me here today.
Back at you. Thank
Make it
you.
a great day.